Have you ever wondered if your birth date holds a deeper meaning? What if I told you that the day you were born is more than just a date? It's a key to unlocking your true spiritual purpose. I know it sounds almost mythical, right? But here's the thing. Many spiritual traditions believe that your birth date isn't a coincidence. It's a sign, a marker of something greater, something that only you are meant to fulfill in this lifetime. Personally, I've always been captivated by the idea that the universe leaves us these subtle clues, tiny whispers about who we're meant to become. And maybe, just maybe, your birth date is one of those whispers, waiting for you to pay attention. Before we get started, if you're as curious about unlocking your spiritual potential as I am, be sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a like. This way, you'll never miss out on powerful insights that can change the way you see yourself and the world around you. And hey, it helps the channel reach more people who are on the same journey. Let's grow together. Now let's get started. Imagine for a moment that you're not just here by chance, but because you were chosen for something greater. That your very existence, your journey, was set in motion with purpose, and your birth date is a clue to that. Now, I know the idea of being chosen sounds like something straight out of a fantasy story, but think about it. Throughout history and across cultures, there's this recurring belief that some individuals are destined for a unique spiritual path. And I have to admit, there's something incredibly empowering about that idea. What if your struggles, your passions, your gifts, are all part of this larger plan? Personally, I find comfort in believing that we all have a deeper reason for being here, and that we're not just wandering through life aimlessly. It's like the universe is nudging you, asking, are you ready to discover why you're really here? Now let's take it a step further. What if being chosen isn't just about destiny, but about a divine selection? Think about that for a second. Throughout so many spiritual traditions, there's this belief that certain people are handpicked by a higher power to fulfill a unique role in the world. This isn't just about being born on a particular day, it's about being chosen to carry out something that aligns with a greater cosmic plan. It's heavy, right? But also kind of beautiful. I often wonder, what if those deep moments of longing for meaning, those times when you felt lost or unsure, are actually part of this divine process? A process that's trying to wake you up to your true purpose? I've always been intrigued by the idea that there's something larger than ourselves orchestrating things behind the scenes. It makes me think that even the most difficult times, those moments where you question everything, are actually nudges, tests almost designed to prepare you for what you're truly meant to do. What's fascinating to me is that being chosen doesn't mean you're exempt from hardship. In fact, it's often quite the opposite. Many spiritual paths teach that the people with the most profound purposes face the greatest challenges. Why? Because that's how you're refined. Your struggles, your doubts, they're all part of this sacred process, pushing you to rise above, to step into your role as someone who was chosen not by accident, but by intention. So, when you start to see your life from this perspective, it's like the pieces begin to fall into place. Those random occurrences? Maybe not so random. The struggles? They're shaping you. And suddenly, your birth date becomes more than just a marker of time. It's a signal, one that's always been waiting for you to recognize it. Let's dive into something that has fascinated people for thousands of years: astrology. Now, before you roll your eyes, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why the moment you were born, the exact alignment of the stars and planets, could have anything to do with your life's purpose? It sounds a bit far-fetched at first, I get it. But here's the thing. Across so many cultures, there's this belief that the universe imprints its energy on us the moment we take our first breath. Think about that. Your birth chart isn't just a random collection of zodiac signs. It's a blueprint of your soul's journey. Personally, I find astrology to be a powerful tool for self-reflection. Not in the sense of predicting the future with daily horoscopes, but in the way it can give us insight into our deepest motivations, strengths, and even challenges. Imagine the cosmos, vast and incomprehensible, aligning itself in a way that imprints something unique on you at the very moment you enter this world. What if your astrological sign or the placement of planets reveals clues about what you were sent here to do? Take your sun sign, for example. It's often seen as a representation of your core self, your purpose in life. And then there's your rising sign, the mask you wear to the world, and your moon sign, which holds the secrets of your emotional world. All these factors, they create a cosmic fingerprint that belongs only to you. It's like the universe saying, here's your map, now go find your path. But what really gets me is the idea that astrology doesn't dictate your fate. It's not about some predetermined destiny where you're just following a script. Instead, it shows you potential. It reveals the energy surrounding your life, the patterns you might fall into, and the strengths you can tap into. It's up to you how you navigate it. To me, that's profound. You're not just a passive player in this cosmic drama, you're the lead character. You can look at your chart and say, This is why I've always been drawn to certain things, or this is why I face these specific challenges. So, maybe astrology isn't about predicting every step of your life, but rather about understanding the tools you were given at birth, the ones that can help you unlock your true potential. And the moment you start to see your birth date as more than just a day on the calendar, as the beginning of a deeper spiritual map, everything starts to shift. The universe laid the stars out for you that day. What will you do with it? Now let's talk about numbers, specifically the ones tied to your birth. You might be thinking, how could numbers possibly reveal anything about my spiritual path? But trust me, numerology is much deeper than it seems. It's the belief that numbers hold vibrational energy, and that your birth date carries a unique code that can offer profound insights into your purpose and journey in life. I'll admit, when I first came across numerology, I was skeptical. It sounded a bit like trying to decode the universe using a calculator. But the more I explored it, the more I realized that numbers have a way of weaving through everything, from the cycles of nature to the patterns of life. Your birth date isn't just random digits. It's a symbolic language, one that, if understood, can guide you toward a higher understanding of yourself. Here's how it works. When you take the digits of your birth date and break them down, they lead you to what's called your life path number. This number is said to reflect the core of who you are and what you're meant to achieve in this lifetime. It's almost like a cosmic fingerprint. No two life paths are exactly the same. For example, a life path 1 often signals a leader, someone who's here to break new ground. A life path 7? They're the spiritual seekers, always diving into the mysteries of existence. Personally, I think numerology offers a kind of roadmap similar to astrology, but it's more direct, more concrete. It's like a hidden guide that's been sitting there in plain sight, waiting for you to tap into its wisdom. The beauty of it is that these numbers aren't just telling you who you are, they're also showing you what you need to learn, what obstacles you might face, and how you can overcome them. And the most interesting part? It all starts with the day you were born. I've seen how some people, when they discover their life path number, suddenly feel like everything clicks. They say, "Wow, that explains why I've always felt this way," or "Now I understand why certain things seem to always happen to me." It's like connecting the dots of your life in a way that feels intentional, like the universe knew exactly what it was doing when you arrived. For me, the idea that numbers can hold this kind of significance is both humbling and empowering. It's a reminder that there's a deeper order to the chaos we sometimes feel, that even something as simple as a number can point us toward our purpose. And if your birth date can reveal your life path, what else could it be whispering to you? Maybe it's time to pay closer attention to the numbers that have been guiding you all along. Now, let's go even deeper into the mystery, specific birth dates. You might be wondering, can certain days carry more spiritual weight than others? And the answer in many spiritual traditions is yes. There are particular dates that are believed to hold a unique power, a kind of spiritual intensity that sets those born on them apart. Think about it. Dates like January 1st, the start of a new year, or February 29th, a day that only appears every 4 years. These aren't just calendar quirks. They're moments where the energy of the universe is different, more focused, almost as if the cosmos is holding its breath for a brief second. If you were born on one of these days, some believe you're imbued with a special kind of potential, a cosmic significance that other dates just don't have. And here's the thing, I've always been fascinated by this concept. I mean, it makes sense, right? Throughout history, certain days have always held a kind of sacredness. The solstices, the equinoxes, even full moons, these are times when the energy around us shifts. So why wouldn't someone born on one of these spiritually charged dates feel that influence in their life? Take March 21st, for example, the start of spring in many parts of the world. It's a time of renewal, rebirth, and growth. Being born on that day might signal that you're someone destined to bring new ideas into the world, to help things grow and evolve. Or imagine being born on December 21st, the winter solstice, the longest night of the year. In many traditions, that's a time of deep reflection, a turning inward. Those born on this day might have a natural inclination toward introspection, wisdom, and guiding others through the darkness. I think what's powerful about this idea is that it connects you to something bigger than yourself. If you're born on one of these special days, you might feel like there's something more to your existence, like you're here for a purpose that's in sync with the very cycles of the universe. And honestly, who wouldn't want to believe that? But here's the catch, it's not just the date that defines you. Being born on a spiritually significant day doesn't automatically make everything fall into place. It's about recognizing that potential and then choosing to act on it. I've seen people who discover they were born on a powerful day and suddenly feel a sense of duty, a pull to live up to the energy that day carries. It's almost like the universe gave you a little nudge, but it's up to you to decide how far you'll go with it. So, if you were born on one of these dates, or even if you weren't, it's worth thinking about the energy that surrounds your birth. What was happening in the cosmos when you came into this world? And what does that mean for the path you're meant to walk? Alright, now let's get personal. How do you know if you're one of the chosen? Is there some grand sign that appears in the sky? Probably not. But here's the thing, being chosen doesn't always feel like a fairy tale. Sometimes, it feels like a quiet, almost subtle tug at your soul. It's not necessarily something that happens in a flash of light, but rather through a series of moments and experiences that make you wonder, is there something more for me here? I've spoken to people who have felt this, and often they describe it as an unshakable feeling that they're meant for something bigger. They don't always know what it is, but they feel this deep inner knowing, a kind of pull toward a higher purpose. And maybe you felt it too. Those moments when everything else seems to fade away and you're left with this sense that there's more to life than what's on the surface. What's interesting is that being chosen often shows up in small ways, through signs and synchronicities. You might notice repeating numbers, like 1111 on the clock, or patterns in your life that seem too coincidental to be chance. It's like the universe is whispering to you, trying to get your attention. And I have to admit, I've experienced this myself. There have been times when I couldn't ignore the little hints, the gut feelings, the random encounters that seem to hold deeper meaning. It's almost as if the universe is nudging you toward your path, giving you these breadcrumbs to follow. But here's where it gets tricky. Being chosen doesn't always come with clarity. In fact, it can sometimes feel like a burden. You might find yourself feeling out of place, like you don't quite fit in with the world around you. That feeling of being different, of being a bit disconnected, can actually be a sign that you're meant for something outside the ordinary. I've heard so many stories of people who felt like outsiders their whole lives, only to later realize that their path was never meant to follow the traditional route. They were meant to carve out something new, something unique. If you're wondering whether you're chosen, pay attention to those moments of intuition, those flashes of insight or instinct that you just can't explain. They're not accidents. And the more you lean into them, the more you'll start to see the path opening up in front of you. It's like the universe saying, you're ready, now it's time to step into your purpose. And here's something I truly believe. If you feel that pull, if you've ever wondered whether you're here for something more, chances are you are. The universe doesn't waste energy, and if it's sending you signs, it's because you're meant to notice them. So, if you've been feeling that quiet calling, it might be time to start listening a little more closely. Let's talk about something that often gets overlooked in these discussions, the role of free will. Now, I know it's easy to get swept up in the idea that if you're chosen or if your birth date holds some kind of spiritual significance, then everything is predetermined, right? But here's the truth. Being chosen doesn't mean your path is set in stone. It means you've been given potential, a possibility, but what you do with that possibility, that's entirely up to you. This is something that's always fascinated me. Think about it. Even if you have the stars aligned, the numerology pointing in a certain direction, or the universe dropping hints along your path, you still have to choose to walk that path. That's the power of free will. It's this beautiful paradox. On one hand, you're being guided, maybe even called to something bigger. But on the other hand, nothing happens unless you decide to act. And I get it, that can feel like a lot of pressure. I've certainly felt it myself. This tension between knowing there's more out there for me and feeling the weight of having to make those choices. It's easy to wonder, what if I mess it up? What if I miss my chance? But here's the thing. Free will doesn't mean you have to get everything right all the time. It just means you have the power to direct your own life, to say yes or no to the opportunities that come your way. What I find really powerful about this idea is that it gives you control. Sure, you may have a spiritual path laid out for you, but you're not a puppet on strings. You get to choose how to walk it. And honestly, that's where the real magic happens. When you combine the sense that you're chosen with the knowledge that you can shape your own destiny, it creates this amazing balance of guidance and freedom. You can tune into the signs, the synchronicities, the energies at play, but at the end of the day, it's your actions that bring your purpose to life. I've seen people who feel that tug of destiny but get stuck waiting for everything to be perfectly clear before they act. And in doing so, they miss out on the opportunities that were right in front of them. Free will is about stepping into the unknown with faith that, even if you don't have all the answers, you're moving in the right direction. So, if you're feeling like you're meant for something more, if you've noticed those signs, that inner calling, know that the universe is guiding you, but it's also waiting for you to make your move. You hold the power to say, yes, I'm going to step into this potential, or no, I'm not ready yet. And the best part? You can always course correct along the way. Every step you take is part of the journey, and your choices are what turn potential into reality. Alright, so you've recognized that you might be chosen. You felt that pull, seen the signs, and now you're wondering, what next? How do you actually develop these spiritual gifts that have been whispered to you throughout your life? This is where the real work begins, and it's where things get exciting because now it's about action, about stepping into who you truly are. I'll tell you something personal. I've always believed that spiritual gifts aren't just these magical abilities that fall into your lap. They need to be cultivated like a seed that has the potential to grow into a mighty tree, but only if you nurture it. And I've seen it firsthand. The more you dedicate yourself to practices like meditation, energy work, or simply spending time in nature, the more you begin to uncover parts of yourself that you didn't even know existed. For me, meditation has been a game changer. It's one of those practices that might seem simple on the surface, but the depth it unlocks in you is profound. It's like tuning into a frequency that's always been there, but you were too distracted to hear. And once you start listening, you realize there's an entire world within you, one that holds your gifts, your intuition, your connection to something higher. But here's the thing, developing your spiritual gifts isn't about escaping the world. It's about engaging with it in a more meaningful way. It's about being able to recognize the energy of a situation, to feel what's happening beneath the surface, and then acting from a place of deeper understanding. Whether it's sensing the emotions of others, tapping into your own intuition for guidance, or even healing through your energy, these gifts are here to help you navigate life, not to pull you away from it. And trust me, this isn't something that happens overnight. It takes patience. There will be days when you feel like you're making no progress at all, and then suddenly, you'll have moments of clarity that feel like everything is clicking into place. I've had times where I doubted whether I was actually tapping into anything real, and then out of nowhere, I'd have an experience that was so profound, so undeniably true, that it was impossible to ignore. One of the most powerful things you can do is simply listen to your inner voice, to the signs around you, and to the subtle nudges that the universe sends your way. And this doesn't mean isolating yourself in some spiritual bubble. It means learning to incorporate these gifts into your everyday life. I think that's where the real transformation happens. When you start using your intuition or your heightened awareness in your relationships, your work, and even your challenges. So, if you've started to feel that spark within you, if you're beginning to sense that there's more to you than meets the eye, don't ignore it. Lean into it. Cultivate it. Take time to develop your gifts, to explore what's possible for you. Because those gifts, those spiritual tools, they're not just for you. They're meant to be shared to help you and the people around you grow. And when you do that, you're stepping into your role as a chosen one, not just in theory but in action. And that, to me, is one of the most powerful things you can do. So, now you've reached a pivotal point in this journey, the responsibility of being chosen. And let me tell you, this is where things truly come full circle. Being chosen, being someone with a unique spiritual path, isn't just about recognizing your gifts. It's about understanding the responsibility that comes with them. It's about how you use those gifts to impact the world around you. I want you to think about this. If you've been given the ability to see deeper, to sense more, to understand things that others might overlook, then you also carry a certain level of responsibility to use those gifts wisely. This isn't about ego or feeling superior, it's about service. It's about using your light to help others find their way through the darkness. And honestly, that's the true mark of someone who is spiritually aligned, how you choose to uplift those around you, how you bring your unique energy into the world. I personally believe that when you step into your role as a chosen one, you begin to realize that it's not about fame or recognition. It's about making small, consistent differences. It's about compassion, humility, and a deep sense of service. Because being chosen doesn't mean the path is easy, it means the path is meaningful. You will be tested, but those tests are there to strengthen you, to refine your spirit, and to prepare you for the bigger purpose you're here to fulfill. And here's the truth, this journey doesn't end. It's continuous. You'll keep growing, evolving, and discovering new layers of yourself. But that's the beauty of it, right? You're never done. There's always more to explore, more to learn, more to give. And the more you embrace this responsibility, the more the universe responds, guiding you with synchronicities, opportunities, and the people who are meant to cross your path. Now, before we wrap this up, I want to ask you, what are you going to do with the knowledge that you've been chosen? How will you step into this role and live in alignment with your purpose? The journey might be challenging, but I promise you, it's worth it. If this resonated with you, if you feel that pull towards something greater, then don't stop here. There's so much more to explore, and we're just getting started. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So drop a comment below and tell me, what's the one sign or experience that made you think you might be on a special path? And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Together, we're going to dive even deeper into these mysteries and unlock the spiritual potential that's waiting within each of us. So, subscribe, leave a comment, and let's continue this journey together.